Hello students, so today we will discuss about thermal spray. It's a way of depositing coating. So in thermal spray what we do is the material is heated rapidly in a hot gaseous medium, and it is then simultaneously projected at a very high velocity at high velocity onto the substrate to form the coating. So there are three processes involved. Firstly, heating the material, projection of the material, and deposition of the material. Now, material that can be deposited through thermal spray are those material that melt that melts at or are molten without significant degradation. Because if the material degrades, then the originality of the material is not there, so it's no point in. So our main objective is to have a coating of only that material or the precursor material. So if there is degradation involved while heating, then the precursor material is not in its original form. So therefore those materials which are not degraded at high velocity are the most metals, or those which don't have any significant changes in chemical compositions are consist of the most metals. Then you have alloys, and then you have many ceramics also. The chemical nature is preserved. Then you have ceramides, ceramic and metal composites, and then there are also some plastics which are not chemically degraded at high temperature. So these materials can be deposited with the help of thermal spray. Now a type of thermal spray is wire spray. There are different types of thermal sprays. One of them we will start with the wire spray. Wire spray is where you are selecting the material which is in the form of a wire, and you provide the wire with a something called multi-jet combustion flame. Which is maybe toxic fuel, and toxic fuel comes in the form of acetylene. So what it does, the molten droplets that are produced, these are the molten droplets, they are produced and they get deposited on the substrate, and the speed by which this speed of the jet is around 100 meter per second, and these are the molten droplets. And we actually are using a gas jet, which is mainly the compressed air for this multi-jet combustion flame. Compressed air. The advantage of this method is advantages of these materials is, first of all, it is portable, so you can take it to on-site, used in on-site applications. And the second advantage is we have got a wide selection of materials which can be deposited through this technique. And the selection ranges from all ferrous and non-ferrous metals. Now, another type of thermal spray technique is called electric arc spray. But it is different from the wire spray that instead of one wire we are using two wires, and these wires are of opposite polarity, and due to this, at the tip contact, and they produce an arc, and while the arc is produced, again an air jet is directed towards it. We have an air jet from compressed gas, and again in the same way the molten droplets are produced and they get deposited onto the substrate, and the temperature in this case it rises around 600 Kelvin. So basically you get pseudo alloy coatings, since we are using two dissimilar metals. So this material, this wire of this metal is different from the wire of this metal. So that's why the name pseudo alloy comes. So there are pseudo alloy coatings since we are feeding wires of dissimilar metals. So this is called electric spark spray. Another type of thermal spray is known as powder flame spraying. So you give the feed in terms of powder. So this is where the powder is feeded for the material to be coated, and we have a high velocity gas injected, and we also have a fuel gas. There are three things. First of all, the powder, the precursor, there is a gas, and there is fuel gas. So there is some sort of combustion, and there is a nozzle here. There's a nozzle from where again the molten droplets at around 100 meters per second are evolve, and they get deposited onto the coating. Again, you have oxyfuel, which is acetylene, and it produces around 300 Kelvin temperature. No, not 300, 3000 Kelvin temperature. So this temperature is it will melt most metals. So this is one type of thermal spray. Another type of thermal spray is called high velocity combustion process. So in why now what happens in the sprays that we have discussed, like we have discussed air wire, we have discussed flame spray, wire spray, and we have discussed also the powder spray. So especially in wire and flame spray, there is a limitation. There is a limitation that the integrity of the material is compromised sometimes. So the integrity is inadequate for some demanding cases. Where the integrity or the composition of the material needs to be perfect. So what do we need to do to solve this problem is need to increase in thermal energy or the heat provided, or we need to either increase the thermal energy or we need to increase the kinetic energy. Okay, so here comes the role of high velocity combustion process. So the thermal, instead of increasing the thermal energy, we mainly focus on increasing the kinetic energy of the molten particles, and because increasing thermal energy might not be sufficient to maintain the integrity of the material, so it's always better to increase the velocity of the gas. So there are different ways by which we can increase the velocity. One of the high velocity combustion process is called a detonation gun. and another is known as high velocity frame spring. High velocity uh, flame spray. So it is written as, in short, as D-gun method, and it is in short written as HVS method. So we will discuss about these in my next lecture.